morning and welcome to Arise News Now. I'm Asha Tanna in London. It's Friday the 9th of August. And our top story at this hour, the US is withdrawing all non-essential diplomatic staff from its consulate in Lahore. The State Department is now warning all American citizens against travel in Pakistan. It follows a series of terrorist attacks in the country. Arise News' Will Took reports.
A specific, credible threat. That was a warning late last night from Washington, as it announced diplomatic staff were being evacuated from its Lahore consulate. It brings the number of US missions in foreign countries that have been closed to 20. But US officials speaking under the condition of anonymity told the Associated Press the decision was not linked to the previous embassy closures. The withdrawal comes as terrorist activity in Pakistan has increased following the end of Ramadan. This morning in the eastern town of Quetta, close to Pakistan's border with Afghanistan, a gunman shot dead at least 8 at a Sunni mosque after morning prayers. And yesterday a suicide bomb killed dozens of mourners at a policeman's funeral. Local TV stations were broadcasting live when the bomber detonated his jacket, packed with ball bearings and shrapnel. Among the dead was the city's Deputy Inspector General of Operations. The bombing also killed 5 senior police officers and a number of children. Dozens others were wounded. It was not immediately clear who was responsible. The bombing is just the latest in a series of deadly attacks since Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif came to power in May. Will Took, Arise News.
Over 300,000 voters were turned away in Zimbabwe's general election. That's according to the country's own electoral commission. It is the first official statistic since incumbent Robert Mugabe's victory was announced. The opposition MDC party claims it is evidence the vote was rigged. The electoral commission also says over 200,000 voters were assisted, another alleged irregularity. The MDC leader Morgan Tsvangirai is planning to mount a legal challenge against the vote. Well, staying with the subject of elections, the people of Mali go to the polls on Sunday to choose a president. Many hope this choice will be able to steer the former French colony towards greater stability and security after a year and a half of upheaval.
Decision time in Mali. After an inconclusive first round, voters will go to the polls on Sunday to elect their president. It's a runoff between Soumaïla Cissé and Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, known locally as IBK. He finished almost 20 percentage points ahead of Cissé on July 28, but failed to win an absolute majority. And both candidates are running on tickets promising stability and development.
Le 11 août, je vous demande d'amplifier votre vote.
On August the 11th, I'm asking you to increase your vote.
Une majorité claire et nette.
I'm asking you to give me a clean and clear majority, an indisputable majority that will allow me to lead the national recovery you're striving for.
Together, we will rebuild the state, a strong state, just and respected. Together, we will rebuild and relieve Mali to bring peace, security, and development.
An army coup last year kicked off a train of events that plunged the once stable democracy into chaos. Tuareg rebels in the north soon declared a breakaway homeland named Azawad. That uprising was then usurped by Islamists who overpowered the army to threaten the capital Bamako. This prompted a French-led intervention which soon routed the militants, paving the way for reconstruction and elections. But with the country in a state of transition and accusations of fraud after the first round of voting, some observers feel a clear-cut winner is needed so Mali can move forward.
Ce qu'on peut espérer, c'est que le vainqueur de l'élection, avec une marge.
What we can hope is that the winner of the election, with a substantial margin of votes, has a freedom unlike previous presidents. And he uses this freedom to improve governance and restore the state of this country. We now need a state, because a lack of one has caused the disintegration of the situation in this country.
From the Tuaregs promising a return to arms unless their demands are met, to the ongoing threat from Islamists and the need to reboot the economy, the problems facing the winner are huge. and voters will hope that Sunday's poll marks the first step on the path towards peace and stability.
Public commemorations have taken place in Myanmar, also known as Burma, to mark the 25th anniversary of the uprisings which launched the country's pro-democracy movement. Nathan Frandino reports.
25 years after Myanmar's infamous bloody crackdown, the country's pro-democracy leaders are mourning and celebrating the lives of the protesters. At least 3,000 university students, monks, and young children were killed that day. Many more were arrested. Since the military government began opening a series of political and economic reforms, its people have begun to feel free to publicly remember those who were killed. Now the head of the National League for Democracy Party, Aung San Suu Kyi, says they must work toward building a united country.
In this 1988 memorial, we are all meeting here in unity to show good signs and well wishes for our country. But this is not enough. Doing this only once in a while, we have to keep building up our unity.
Suu Kyi was among thousands to come out to the Myanmar Convention Center to participate in the anniversary. One member of the National Democratic Force Party, which took part in the 1988 uprising, says the country must forgive and move on.
We can't build up national reconciliation, and our country can't become a developed country if we always consider them an enemy. We are willing to forgive and be tolerant.
Prior to 2011, the military had banned all events promoting democracy.
Two British women who had acid thrown in their faces in Zanzibar are expected to arrive back in the UK later. Kirsty Trupp and Katie G, both 18 from London, were taken to hospital in mainland Tanzania after being attacked in the East African island's capital. Lily Grimes reports.
Two British teenagers are flying home from Zanzibar, the victims of an acid attack. The 18-year-old women were volunteering at a school on the Tanzanian island. Police say unknown men threw acid at them from a motorbike on Wednesday evening. The island of Zanzibar is popular with international tourists, but there have been several violent incidents over the past year, including an acid attack on a Muslim cleric and the killing of two Christian leaders. Zanzibar's Minister for Tourism, Said Ali Mbaruk, condemned the attack. Tourism is a pillar of the economy, he said. Such acts kill our livelihoods. The Britons are expected to fly home on Thursday.
Only half of best-selling cars are rated as acceptable in crash tests. An influential American road safety group examined how 12 different vehicles would stand up to a crash. Most of the 2013 models were rated poor or marginal in test results. Catherine Jackson reports.
At 40 miles per hour, a car crashes into a 5-foot-high barrier on the driver's side that overlaps 1/4 of the vehicle's width. In this, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's new crash test, half of the 12 small cars tested were rated marginal or poor in results released this week. The test's lowest rating, poor, went to Nissan's Sentra and Kia's Soul and 2014 Forte.
Horrendous collapse of the occupant compartment, illustrated by collapse of the hinge pillar, footwell, A-pillar instrument panel, all coming in toward the driver. Instability of the steering column moved the airbag inboard so much that it provided little cushion for the driver's head.
Marginal, General Motors' Chevrolet Sonic and Cruze and Volkswagen's Beetle. Acceptable, Chrysler's Dodge Dart, Ford's Focus, Hyundai's Elantra, and Toyota's 2014 Scion TC. 2- and 4-door versions of Honda's Civic received the highest rating, good. The insurance group says nearly 1/4 of U.S. front-of-vehicle crashes resulting in serious injury or death involve a single corner that strikes another vehicle or an object like a tree or utility pole. U.S. carmakers often design and engineer their models to score well on safety tests and use the results in their marketing. Most of the small cars in this study were already in production when the new testing began.
The Kasbah in Algiers still evokes the spirit of a 16th century port and has long greeted European voyagers and explorers. But over the centuries, war and natural disasters have taken their toll. Its few remaining original homes are threatened by neglect and decay, and the race is on to try to save them. Mariam Ishani has more.
Even today, the Kasbah in Algiers evokes the spirit of a 16th century port that for so long greeted European voyagers and explorers heading to Africa. But over the centuries, war and natural disasters have taken their toll. Even though it was classified a historical monument by UNESCO over 10 years ago, the Kasbah, which means citadel in Arabic, is still under serious threat. Built on a hillside that rises up 118 meters, only 1,000 of the Kasbah's original homes are still standing.
This is a site that is degraded. You can see how it is sloped, how all the houses, each one leans on the other. This is important because when a house falls, well, the rest could follow.
Even the fragile scaffolding, wood trusses and metal beams holding the buildings together threaten to collapse on the city's 52,000 inhabitants. Residents are often relocated by the state, but despite the risks, new tenants move right into the vacated homes.
Living here is a means to get money from social housing. It's a real racket. Living in the Kasbah means you can get funds to be moved elsewhere, and then can just come back and live here again.
The government recently announced a project to renovate parts of the Kasbah by purchasing vacated buildings or giving funds to residents who want to restore them. Nasreddin Mezian has been restoring the home he inherited from his parents for the last 6 months with the help of public money.
I'm just a simple worker. To be honest, not me, not anyone can take this on their own because it's such a large undertaking. I don't have the money to take something like this on.
Renovating the Kasbah's buildings is just the first step. The authorities also hope to revive the traditional handicrafts and the arts and culture that once thrived here.
For autistic children, reading the emotions of those around them is a big challenge. Animals have long been used to help such kids to open up emotionally. And now researchers in Canada are testing an interactive robot that might be able to help in a similar way. Tim Lawrence reports.
Dogs are known as man's best friend, and Jasper here is friendlier than most. He helps autistic children form emotional bonds. But he may just have some competition. This is the latest robotic creation from the Haptic Creature Project at the University of British Columbia. A cross between a dog, a cat, and perhaps a rabbit, it can respond to touch, purring when it's stroked, and shivering when it feels ill at ease.
Kind of in the same way that people are able to communicate to each other certain things through touch, and you can imagine like your pet or your dog, it can sometimes tell a lot about the way you're feeling by the way you're touching it. So that's what we're trying to do, just get away from those biometric sensors and things that people have to wear and make it something that's standalone and it can just tell how you're feeling by the way you're interacting with it.
While it may look basic, the researchers who've created it say it's not meant to be a simulation of an animal. The lack of facial features, for example, is intended to help users focus on touch rather than what they see.
We're trying to design the body of the creature and the interaction, the interactivity, in a way to cause you to touch it in a more interactive way, a more informative way, so that we can actually get more information out of your touch.
To achieve this, the team has designed something they call Smart Fur, a complex system of sensors that enable the animal to react to human touch. For the kids who get to use it, the idea is that it's a calming influence that can help them focus on other tasks.
It's very relaxing and it's very soft.
For now, the device remains at the experimental stage, with only 2 prototypes, meaning it may be a while before you see one in the wild.
That's it. Stay with us throughout the morning. Bye-bye.